Alright, finally! Lost Land. We're finally to interesting stuff. We're finally to one of the better levels in the game. We're still seeing the exact same rocks, but this time the rocks are tinted brown. Or perhaps a yellow brown. How wonderful. And the dinosaurs finally have guns! Strapped to them. And of course, we get demons. Look at that! He threw a friggin' Hadouken! Isn't that cool? Don't you wish you'd seen that earlier? And we get aliens with jetpacks! Why are they here? I don't know. Needless to say, I came prepared today. I got my coffee right in front of me. It's not 5 in the morning, but I came ready. But all that stuff I mentioned in the manual, you see that bestiary, you see all those cool enemies, and they all get what would be the opposite of front-loaded? Side-locked? Backlogged? You front-load and then you have a backlog. I don't know. Who cares? Point being, I kind of wonder. Because you do that, obviously. This is I've mentioned it before, it's a Nintendo 64 port to the PC. Came out on console first. And the PC port was actually fine. It had its options, and it had everything you needed. And it worked, most importantly. Back in the days when PC ports were, hey, somewhat decent. But the interesting thing is, I beg the question, and I'm not talking about Night Dive. I'm talking about originally. Oh, look, a Triceratops! Isn't that awesome? It is. I'm going to ignore it because, fun fact, that thing will take about 10 quad rocket shots. I know this because I did it, and the maximum you can carry, I think, is about 14. That thing is not worth the ammo expenditure on hard or hardcore. It is absolutely ludicrous. What do you get for killing it? I will point it out, but there will be a cave. If you kill that Triceratops, which you can see here, you can actually just bypass it, which is cool. There's a little bit of choice. There's an alternative path the player can take, which is great. Think about that for 1 minute. There was nothing in the previous Treetop Village level. There were no secondary paths that you could take to bypass certain things. You were on a straight line. But here, we actually get pretty decent level design. Oh, good lord. I had 14, I was right. Or no, 12. Okami cannot read. Forget it. Ugh. So, if you actually bother to use far too much ordnance to kill that Triceratops, it will lower a bunch of floating rocks, and you can get the fusion cannon earlier than a certain point. The fusion cannon, by the by, is sort of like the... if you cannot get the Chronoceptor, it's your Chronoceptor equivalent. Sort of. The big thing is that you really save it for Thunder, because the Chronoceptor is all you need to defeat the campaigner at the end. Which, hey, if you're expecting the Cyborg T-Rex at the end of this level, too bad, it's gonna have to wait until the next level. Much to my disappointment as well. I could have sworn it was right at the end of the Lost Land, but no. No. You fight two bosses in a row, one is Thunder and the other one is the campaigner. But those floating rocks up there, those will drop down, and you can enter that cave with that demon inside and get the fusion cannon. Which is... to describe it is... imagine firing a nuclear reaction, a nuclear fission reaction into the air. That's the fusion cannon. I know I said fission and fusion. I meant that because of fission well, okay. Nuclear physics. It doesn't make any sense that you would fire a fusion reaction, but whatever. Doesn't make any sense anyway, but hey! It's a creative thing. It's weird and cool and doesn't make any sense, and it's silly. Finally, we get some silliness. Because everything else has been just, honestly, kind of sedate. A grenade launcher. Even the quad rocket launcher is within the realm of possibility, because there is actually such a thing. It was called the Flash 2000, and it's in Resident Evil. It's a 4-shot rocket launcher, and that's actually what it is. It shoots rockets. It does not shoot guided missiles. If you don't know the difference, a rocket is unguided, and a missile will track. That's the general difference. Fun fact, I'm not sure if I actually managed to capture it, but there is that little pool of lava right there. One of them is not emitting flames, and you can actually swim in it. Now that will become important because I passed by it up above. But it will become important later because it's key to finding the Chronoceptor piece on this level. You have to kind of be aware of it. But I also bypassed another Triceratops because you don't have to fight it. And I've had my piece about that. I'm not sure how I feel about having... It may even be intentional. I don't see the value in... I want to phrase this without rambling. In essence, I would think, as a designer, if you're drawing up the GDD, that's Game Design Document, and you're... Actually, it wouldn't be in there, but whenever you're actually in the development process, I would imagine when you're looking at stuff like that, like we want to have a major enemy. For example, a Triceratops. And we want to have it, we want to put rocket launchers on it, and we have a guy riding on top of it with a machine gun. Isn't that awesome? Boy, that sure is awesome. I wish it was in the game more often. Instead of right at the end, and in only one level, and you only see it twice, and you can completely bypass it. That's where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this is, it's this super cool enemy that you put a lot of work into, and you can just completely walk by it. You don't have to fight a single one. And quite honestly, you shouldn't, because it takes far too many resources to take it down for no gain. Which brings me to the ultimate point, how... So this is the moment. You can see that lava. And then, there are no flames coming out of that lava. Well, let's jump in it! Secret! Yeah, I already knew what was there. There's also some tech armor in that lava pit. So where was I? Oh, and it's finally a Chronoceptor piece that you actually have to work for. Not only is it in a secret area, but you have mandatory enemies that you have to fight. You have 2 Perlins and a... Wait, what? This one there was... Oh, I'm thinking about the other area. Yeah, never mind. Ignore what I said. It's to get a key. And it's right up ahead, actually. Not the Chronoceptor piece. There's your tech armor. Oh, where was I with the whole diatribe? Oh, right. Whenever you fight something like a hard... Resident Evil is actually a game series, actually, or at least the classic ones, do an excellent job of anytime... The game is about stockpiling resources to fight high difficulty enemies, or high health enemies. And kind of the whole point is that you have to balance short-term progress with long-term, short-term safety for long-term success. Which is why usually, if they're the good Resident Evils, you don't really fight a lot of the basic enemies. You fight the bosses. Hell, fight in Resident Evil. Can you tell Resident Evil 2 came out recently? I've been playing that. I'm not gonna say anything about it. But whenever you fight a big boss, that's usually the moment where all of the resource gathering comes to fruition. And that's the way a survival horror game is. Absolutely. But then I think of, again, Doom 2016. Let me use a different shooter. How about that? Let me use a different shooter. Let me use one that, I don't know, is completely absurd as an example, but I'll use it anyway. Halo 2. You have to fight enemies. Where the hell was I going with this? Oh, I wonder what's in... I wonder if it's a deliberate choice. I wonder if it's actually thought about... Alright, here's my ultimate point. Ignore everything I just said. I'm an idiot. I ramble. Here's the ultimate point. I wonder if it is a deliberate thought, or a present, conscious thought, and there's a fort, that players will have the ability to ignore and run past most of the combat encounters. That's my question. And I'm not going to make a supposition that I think is accurate. This will be a nonsense suggestion or speculation on my part. I merely asked the question. Because it just seems weird to me. And look at this! These guys, by the way, the robots, are not mentioned at all in the manual. They're not in there. So hey, we actually have a genuine surprise. Robot mech warriors! Space Marines! They actually do remind me of Space Marines. Maybe it's just the stature they have, the general silhouette they have. Whew. And final key. That's it. But this moment, this kind of climactic storming of the campaigner's fortress, this is cool! And it was sorely lacking from the previous sections of the game, this sense of I finally thought of something to codify what I'm talking about whenever I mention how the levels just kind of are so samey and they become boring. I think I finally found a way to codify it in that there's no sense of we're going somewhere or doing something. Whereas here, oh, we come from the Lost Land and we're storming the campaigner's fortress. And you actually enter a fortress. God, the alien weapon sucks. It is cool looking, I will give it that. It is god-awful. And hey, look at this. Is it a boss fountain? Well, spoiler alert, no it's not. There is no boss on this level. I thought that was where you could get the fusion cannon the second time, but no, that's not true. If you remember, I mentioned the little lava pit. in the first little section where you see it. One of them you can swim in, and you can get the fusion cannon there as well. This I found out later on another playthrough. Was it my hardcore one? No, it actually wasn't. Or was it? What did I set the no. That was when I was messing around with a big cheat. I was warping around on levels, so I wouldn't count that, because I didn't turn on God mode, but I did just give myself everything. But look at this area! It's actually visually interesting to look at. They put a waterfall and everything. That's cool. And it's completely wasted. Look at this! Even this little ringed area is cool. It's got a waterfall and enemies fighting at you from the cliffside. Kind of reminds me of Stonehenge. Where was this? Who designed these areas? Because the Lost Land and the following level are great. I'll say that for the catacombs as well. I didn't bring it up because it was 5 a.m. and I was completely losing my mind. However, the catacombs also, those are the only two, this level, the catacombs, and the final level are the only interesting visually levels in the game. And that's it. Lost Land's done. Final level in the game, done. Or the second final level in the game, done. And I'm speechless. That's it. Next up's final level. See you then.